Don't adjust your TVs. I've been frozen like this since Sunday night. What up, flock? I mean, where to start? Where to begin? What to put in the middle? I mean, it's a whole lot of good. It's a whole lot of good this week. I think if you're watching the video version, you saw the face. It's only Monday, right? Right now I'm recording this Monday night. So less than 24 hours between kickoff and now, less than 24 hours. So the smile has not left the face just yet. One of those days where I live on the East Coast, right? I live in Connecticut, so you don't get exactly local Seahawks coverage out here, right? So I can go on my TuneIn radio app on my phone and listen to 710 Seattle, and just to start to marinate in it all over again. So it's one of those good feelings. And I take, you guys probably seen the trusty notebook, and of course everybody knows about this, the Seahawks podcast. I think everybody understands that this is 3 and 3 out. I'm Clinton Bonner, but I write this and record this exclusively for the Seahawks podcast. But with that, I take notes during the game, and 3 and 3 out, we have two sides of a ledger. Literally, I create a ledger. You can probably see my chicken scratch, but I don't want to give too much. Some of you, I know at home, some of you will probably pause in that, a little slow motion. The ledger is all off. The ledger, for the first time in, I think, about a year plus. Don't think this happened at all last year. But when I look down at the ledger, I've got 7 possible ins to go through, and I've got 3 outs. But we'll go through it. This is the exercise. So this is 3 and 3 out. We like to look at 3 kind of unique plays that really caught our attention, or like a series of plays, or a specific player who really stood out in some unique way. And we like to look at the other side, right? That upside down of Stranger Seahawks things, and maybe look at 3 things we thought could have, should have, would have, could have, would have, and could have, and should have gone a little bit better for us, so they get the out. We'll dive into that right now. But the smile, the energy, that has not worn off yet. I don't expect it to. I expect it to carry me through that old hump day, and I expect it to just peak into Thursday, Friday as we head into the weekend, and just carry us into the East Coast when we go down to Saxonville down there, right? And we take on these Jaguars. So, but let's do this now. Let's dive in. We have a saying on 3 and 3 out, and it goes a little something like this, or more precisely, it goes exactly like this. When we win, we start with an in. So let's do exactly that. Let's start with our first in right now. All right, flock. So we're into our first in. We're into our first in. I kind of like that. I kind of like that. And everybody and their grandma, and if their grandma's ma is still here, got some great grandmas out there rocking it. Just some old 12s, but still, holding their own. They're all going to talk Russell Wilson all week. Absolutely deserving. We're not going to talk about too much Russ. We're going to talk about a couple, maybe some combo meal deals later, as we like to on 3 and 3 out. But we know everybody else is going to cover Russ. So, and just it's like one of these things, right? Just all praise Russell Wilson. Hence, yeah, that's the right way. Hence, over the shoulder there, he's the man, right? But for this first in, we want to go. We always talk about them nooks and them crannies on 3 and 3 out. So if you have any Saved by the Bell fans out there, and I'm positive that many of you can name at least 3 characters without even thinking about it from Saved by the Bell. But you remember where they used to party, kind of where they would go after school. They maybe grab some French fries, perhaps a milkshake, a soda pop, or something like that. But it was a place called The Max, right? I think they spelt it with 2 X's because it was the early 90s or mid 90s, and you spelled things kind of funky. So we're calling this one To the Max. So it's not just a shout out to Saved by the Bell, which is, listen, I'm going to be 40 in March. So you kind of have to understand that Saved by the Bell meant a lot to me. That, Kelly Kapowski meant a lot to me as a young blossoming male. Let's put it that way, right? This one, To the Max, is about, of course, the one, the only Lord Byron Maxwell. So it's less of a singular play, but it's about the entire piece he put together. From the very first series on, you had Maxwell, and for for that matter, you had Shaq Griffin just balling all day too. But you had Maxwell making tackles like right up inside the box, like first series on, just up in there, just stuffing runs early, causing punts. Of course, it's kind of this nice bookend. End of the game, you get Maxwell with the pick, kind of trots out of the end zone and seals the deal. That was cool too. But honestly, like everything in the middle of that game, Maxwell laid at least 3 or 4 hits on the sidelines where either he broke up a play or if whomever it was, Aguilar or anybody else, anybody who had caught the ball, they paid for it. Maxwell like brought his hat all day long. In fact, all the Seahawks did. I was tweeting quite a bit that it was a physical game, very physical game, but we were just hitting them more often and with just more veracity. They were taking harder hits than we were throughout the entire game. And just the fact that Maxwell has this beautiful arc, right? We like to tell stories. It's a human thing. We love telling stories. And I mean, the man goes to the Eagles, gets paid all this money, doesn't really do too well there, goes to the Dolphins, just kind of burns out down there. They don't know how to use the guy the right way. And he comes home, and he's a huge piece of this team. He fits right back in. He's got the baggy shirts and the whole thing already. And he just laid the wood. He laid the wood all day long. It's not Sherm. We understand that, right? Maxwell did get burned. He got burned at one point. It's going to happen. We understand that the team is not going to be the same without Cam, without Sherm out there. We get this. But the fact that Maxwell could come in, come back, play at a pretty darn high level, and I've got to give credit to the coaches. The easier thing would have been to put Lane out there. The easier thing would have been to, for loyalty's sake or for some other, some reason, say, well, we're going to give Lane, one more week to see what he can do out there as like corner number 2. They didn't do that. They put Maxwell out there, and Maxwell delivered to Lord Byron himself, to the max, and hey, to Kelly Kapowski, you get the in. I mean, you're always going to get the in, Kelly. Let's be fair. All right, let's roll over to an out. All right, Flock. So these outs, they kind of feel a little dirty. They feel some of these like feel quite dirty to even talk about because some of the things I'm going to bring out here, I feel like some of these players could have easily earned it in. I think the out section is going to be kind of more rapid fire this week because I don't know, they feel a little dirty. And I don't want to rag on any of these guys too bad because we whooped on this team. So, but let's do it. We have a format. We got to be true to the format. If we can't be true to ourselves, well then who could we be true to? Which is nice. Rhyming is nice, right? It's nice to rhyme. But the first one I got was, now this player, McDougal could easily be on the inside. Played a really good game. McDougal played a solid game. Just one of those guys, again, Schneider. If Schneider's not up for Executive of the Year, GM of the Year, then I don't understand what that award's all about. Because McDougal's another guy we go out and get on a 1-year deal and bring him in, right? This is super ticky-tacky, but it was just this one play where early in the match, too, probably the first quarter, where Wentz does a read option and McDougal has him dead to rights. Like McDougal does everything he's supposed to go do right there, right? He comes up in the box, he reads read option, he stays with Wentz. Wentz has absolutely nowhere to go, and somehow, some way, Wentz is not Russell Wilson. Wentz is fairly mobile, right? We saw that. He's a bigger dude. He's pretty mobile, but he doesn't have the moves. No moves like Jagger. Doesn't have moves like Jagger, which are like moves like Russell, right? So he's not this smooth nasty that Russell is. But he kind of just gives McDougal this, like, it wasn't really that big of a move, but he kind of okey dokes him a little bit, and he's able to scamper for a first down, and McDougal is left picking up his jock in that instance. So that's going to earn it out. So on a game where we win 24-10, where we dismantle a team like the Eagles, who came in 10-1, and who the entire NFL was telling us is the best team in the league, we beat them pretty darn soundly. This is the kind of stuff that's going to get it out. So I don't think we're going to spend much more time on this particular out. McDougal got beat on a singular play for a first down. Okay. All right, Flock. So there's obviously a huge turning point playing this game. We understand, right, that we're up 10-3. We lost some momentum because we were up 10-0, but then the Eagles coming down to get three. We hold them to three. That's cool. They get the ball back again. They drive the length of the field, and then of course the play of the game happens. Right now, the thing is, you could just say, okay, hey, that's Sheldon. That's Sheldon Richardson with an amazing rip. Or you'd be like, oh my gosh, did you see Earl Thomas flying in with another? Catch that? I hope you're watching the video because if you are watching the video, it was so fast, you probably had a heart attack. It was so fast, probably just like a puma, but it was a judo chop that came out, and Earl Thomas judo chops Carson Wentz right to the head. It's kind of nice, actually. And then we get the rip, which is just a giant man, Sheldon, just ripping it out. But then, on top of all that, we get some Bobby the Brain. We get Will Hoyt. Will Hoyt in the end zone, building a little wall, calling for the wall, saying, no, you're not going to touch this. You can't touch this. And he does this amazing little dance until the ball just careens out of the back of the end zone for a touchback to give us the ball back. This play, it's emblematic. It's emblematic of what this team is and can be when we are firing on all cylinders. And Sunday night, we fired on every single cylinder, and it was lovely. Still smiling about that. Lovely to watch. So instead of just saying, hey, this is on Sheldon, Sheldon made a ridiculously beautiful rip. We got to bring it back. Just reverse it just for, a half a second earlier. And watch Earl Thomas flying in with the judo chop. So he judo chops to the head. Right? Kind of just... And you see Wentz start to he's affected by that. Then you get the rip out. The ball's out the half-yard line. Physics is carrying it forward. And then you get Will Hoyt with the good senses, the understanding of, in that kind of moment, what to do, and equally, if not more important, what not to do with the ball there, understanding where that ball's going. I mean, you can't ask for three individual players to do something in a split-second moment more as a team. So that little trifecta overture, that's the end. That's it. Something that keeps happening to us is the opposite, right? We keep talking about these stranger Seahawks things, this upside down that does still exist. So this might be the most serious out of the three. In fact, I'm pretty certain it is. The others are ticky-tacky. This one, not only is it kind of something that happened in this game, but it's something that we allow it to happen to ourselves in most games of the year. So we'll have momentum like we did in this game, and then we'll make a mental error. In this case, it was an Effetti 5-yard false start. He stands up too soon, starts to do his thing. We're all sitting there going like, all right, Jermaine, all right. So we're not going to kill the offensive line. They protected well enough in the pass, and we're gonna get to something else that happened in this game that's on the inside of the ledger in just a hot minute. But Effetti stands up too soon. Flag comes out, and we're like, man, all right. I'm tweeting at that exact moment, right then and there, like, do not let a mental 5-yard mistake, a little 5-yard error, diminish what we've built so far. Subsequently, we throw a bubble to Richardson. It goes absolutely nowhere. He's 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. The next play after that, Posick gets burnt so badly. Posick was Toast. Toast was Posick. Finkel is Einhorn, and the whole rest of the whole thing already laces out. All bad. All bad. And we lose that momentum. Now, this is kind of a charter to the coaches, too. Hey, if we have a 5-yard penalty and we're backed up a little bit and we're at whatever it is at that time, 2nd and 13 or 1st and 15, whatever that is, it's going to happen again. Why don't I understand the desire to then get a quick hit to Richardson, try to get 5, 6, 7 yards back to put you into a manageable situation for those 4 downs. I get it. Bubble screens have not been our friend for the most part this year, too long to develop, and they're not really working for us. Yet, we got Jimmy, we got an emerging Vanette, we got Doug Baldwin, we got a player like Lockett who could work the middle. Why don't we just go back to the middle? Or why don't we just get McKissick out on a swing pass and go get 5, 6, 7 of those yards back on something that's way more sure than a bubble screen? Fetty is going to have more false starts. We cannot let that be drive killers. We're still in this gauntlet. Yeah, man, we just had a great win and we're feeling good. Awesome. Get your butts on a plane, fly 3,000 miles, go down to Florida and play a team in Jacksonville that's playing really good football. That's going to be fired up at home and is going to be bringing the heat all day long, where we might have more mistakes and more penalties. We've got to clean that little bit up and not let a 5-yard penalty kill a drive. Figure that out, probably on the coaches, because, Fetty's going to Fetty. That's the way it's going to be. Coaches got to figure out that when that does happen, they've got to have a play, the next play, ready to rock and roll to get those 5, 6, 7, 8 yards back and put us into a manageable situation. Heck, I don't know, maybe even a read option, right? That might be the solution too. All right, so that's the biggest out of the day. Let's bounce over to our last in. This is one I'm super fired up to discuss, so let's get there now. If you saw the beginning of this pod, you might have noticed that we called the entire video, we always get some sort of a title. We called it 4 to the Floor. And there's a reason for that. If we go back and look at the stats, we look at Mike Davis's YPC, right? Yards per carry, 4.0. A 4.0 grade point average, maybe a 4.0 gross domestic product. All lovely numbers. Those are all, that means you're humming. There's something about that number, right? You get a 4 GDP, we're humming. The economy's humming. You get a 4.0 in school, yeah, you're proud. You're humming. You're doing the work. The separation is in the preparation if you're getting a 4.0. So this in is not just for Mike Davis. Mike Davis, man, I think I tweeted out during the game, like, Mike Davis is neato, like NEAT-O. Like, he's neato, gang. This guy's got some moves. He is smooth out of the backfield. He's got hands. He's great in the screen game that we're using more often. He's got enough cuts. He gets the hole hard. He falls forward. What else could you want from a back? And when you look against a tough Eagles team, you say the man averaged 4.0 yards per carry when we haven't had a run game all year. Whew. I mean, I think you could probably sense the exuberance right now. I'm so fired up that it's December. We're going into the last quarter of the season, and now we've got Dwayne Brown, and now we've got Jokel back, and now we've got Britt getting to the second level more often because he's got help on the left-hand side. And now we got Mike Davis averaging 4.0 a carry. That's not mediocre. 4.0 is very, very good, and we're building. So I want to see this. I think we all need to see this carry down to Jacksonville. Another really good defense on the road. When we can average that kind of gains on the ground, think about what it does for Russell. They already believe almost every single play action fake Russell does. Even when it was Lacy all day long and the defense had no reason to really believe it, they still believe it. Now, we mix in Davis, and it just makes Russell that much better. He's having an incredible year. So, again, this is more like an amalgamation of a couple of factors, but that 4.0 number is huge. If we can stay there or continue to tick it up throughout the rest of the year, man, we're going to be one tough team to beat. So I am fired up for that in. Watch that number, that barometer of 4.0 is absolutely crucial. We do that down in Jacksonville, that's going to be a very, very happy plane going back west. All right, that's the last in. All right, we're going to attempt to break a land speed 3 in, 3 out record. I don't have a stopwatch. I've got like a mental clock that's always going. I know when I got to get my shots off. I understand this. Start the clock. We're just going to call out John Ryan. Multiple times when the Eagles should have been pinned at the 10, at the 8, the 7 multiple times where the player was able to run up and fair catch the 19 to 20. Can't be giving away yards. Cannot be giving away yards. Ryan's got to be sharper. I understand in a game we win 24 to 10. Almost what does it matter? Well, it matters because not every game's going to be a 14-point, 2-score win. In fact, look at our history. Most of them are not. So Ryan catches an out here. Hey, maybe it's some tough luck. Maybe it's a tough week. And you know what? It is a tough week. There's not that many outs. We played a great game. But Ryan has got to be more consistent. If we're putting the ball at our own 40, at the 45, our own 37, we have got to pin them at their 15, their 10, their 8, something like that consistently. Way too often, the guy's fair catching it around the 20-yard line when it should be 10 or 12 yards deeper. Be better. Be more consistent. It will matter later. The details always matter. All right, time for my favorite section. You know it. You love it because you wrote it. This is From the Flock. All right, From the Flock is so simple. During the game, I ask anybody who wants to hashtag their tweet, hashtag 3i30, or if you are a member of the growing and the amazing Seahawks podcast Ring of Honor, there's always some awesome game day discussions going on in that particular Facebook group, and folks are always tagging things 3i, 3 out, or just saying, hey, in for this or out for that. It's pretty simple. If you give it an in, you give it an out, you hashtag it 3i, 3 on Twitter, I'll find it and I'll put it below. So just scroll below, look down in this blog post itself, and look at your contributions. 1, 2, 3, what's next? Hey, this is what it is. We got a 3,000-mile road trip coming to the East Coast. Gonna play Jacksonville. Really grateful they pushed the game back to 4:25. Makes my life easier. So hey, that's a win. That's a personal win for me. Love the 4:25 start. Makes my life nice and easy. And I'm pretty sure the team be all fired up for that too. Listen, I'm not too sure there's some magic elixir to go beat the Jags, right? I mean, you got Bortles. Bortles is maybe a bottom 10, bottom 12 quarterback, nearly a bottom feeder. I think he's certainly in the bottom half of the league. The offense is typically good enough to do some interesting things, but the Jaguars are built on defense, right? They call it Saxonville for a reason. They're going to bring the heat. But you know what? I got to sit back and say, listen, at this stage, is Jacksonville ready to kind of dethrone the Seahawks? Listen, they'll be at home. The crowd will be fired up. They'll have everything in their corner in that regard. We got to travel all the way across the country, get all that. I think Jacksonville's catching our team at the wrong time. And I think that's all that needs to be said about that. They got Calais Campbell. They got I might keep that in because I just can't. He's on my fantasy team. I'm in an IDP league where we drafted that guy as our second overall IDP. He's been killing it. Still can't pronounce his name. Joop. Maybe Yop. I think it's Joop. I used to wear this back in the day. Probably the Kelly Kapowski days. Right? We talked about that earlier. I just wanted to dress this Joop bottle up, the box up, in the Apollo Creed Rocky IV outfit, and I just want to share that with you. I thought you all would appreciate that.